Hello, welcome to the last Donkeys and Dragons video chat for 2023. Every episode, we spend roughly 15 minutes chatting about some specific topic, usually related to holistic testing. But today we're going to do something a little different and look back at the year and some of our highlights from the year. So, hello, I'm Lisa Crispin.
I'm Janet Gregory. So it's interesting when we started to look back at all the things this year, what have happened in the year from January to December. There's been a lot of different things. I know that one of the things that you've been doing, Lisa, is you've been really getting into that whole AI world. Myself, so much. But I'm still a little bit skeptical, so I like to hear people talk about it. But I'm still a little skeptical. So tell us about what you've been doing with that.
Well, as we know, the best way to learn something is to commit to teaching it. So last year, Rachel Kibler and I was asking her if she wanted to do a workshop with me at Agile Testing Days, and she did. And I said, "Well, what do you think we should do for a topic?" And she said, "Oh, let's how to use AI and those tools for testing," because she'd been doing that in her work. And it's like, well, I don't know much of anything about that, so let's go. And so I was looking for ways to learn about it. And I was fortunate that my friend Blaze, who I met through the Cucumber open source project, um, he was working on a project that involved developing some educational online training software. And their sample course was a course about AI, generative AI, just an introduction, a very basic course. And so I helped him some with that. So that was nice because I was the perfect audience for that. And the best thing was he just gave me a whole list of resources to where to go learn more. And so I captured those and started going through them. And then James Lindsay sent out a note saying he was going to do a series of workshops on AI during the summer for free because he wanted to work through some to learn for himself. And he just thought as long as he was doing that, he would invite people to join him. And it was like a 6-part workshop that covered a lot of different topics related to AI. So, of course, I put my hand up for that. And doing the hands-on practice with James, there's no better way to learn. And having like one of our sessions was a real good discussion about the ethics of AI and the risks and the dangers. So you say you're skeptical about it, and I understand that. And so that was, that really gave me a lot to think about, and a lot to put into the workshop because one, people attending the workshop to understand this isn't magical. It's not replacing your skills, but it is a tool in your toolbox. And I learned a lot from Rachel because she's using it on a very practical day-to-day level. And so hearing some of the things that she and her team do with it, they're real simple, helping to standardize bug reports, for example, or generating FAQs from testing notes, things like that, that I wouldn't have thought of. So it was really, really enlightening. And just from watching the people in the class try things out, get Chat GPT to explain some Python code and now translate it into COBOL and see if it runs. So yeah, pretty eye-opening.
Kind of cool. Yeah, I think that fully on board with using it for things like I think would be excellent to help generate bug reports. Like that's something I've always hated doing to begin with.
Exactly.
The ideas of FAQs from testing notes and things, that's kind of fun. The other thing that I'm always worried about, I shouldn't be worried, so worried, but is that we're using those generative AI tools and they cost from an environmental perspective. And we could look things up with Google search just as easy and way easier on the environment. So it's something just to think about a lot.
Yeah, I have a lot of sustainability concerns as well.
Yeah. The next thing I think that's been on both of our minds is quality assessments. Been on my mind because Selena DeLisi and I finished our second book, the companion book to our quality QBAM, our quality assessments practices model, but this one is on facilitating. So it's really fun to do because um, you take for granted. If you've done a lot of them, you take a lot of things for granted. So get into a book was really good. And then I got to have a workshop based on kind of both books in Scotland, which was an excellent kind of place to do it. People were so nice and had some really good feedback on it. But you've been doing some, I'm going to say, real stuff with it, not just holding a workshop, but actually doing it, right?
Yes, and thank you for letting me review the book chapters as you wrote them because it really helped me get a deeper understanding. You and Selena have distilled all your years of experience helping even big enterprise companies transform to a healthy, functional, agile practice and getting to good quality. And so I got a chance to see how in real life as a facilitator, I have so many good tools to get a sense really quickly and help teams get a sense really quickly of where are the gaps in their quality practices, what's holding them back. And just by observing their planning meetings, their story readiness workshops and stuff, and hearing them talk, it's like they're talking about, all the production bugs that they're trying to decide what's a bug and what's just a missing feature. And I'm thinking, uh, you don't think those are both problems? And it really quickly shows where they could, even if they're doing great development practices like test-driven development and ensemble testing, they can still, if they're lacking testing knowledge, they don't have testers on their team, for example, they may
For
feel like,
sure.
oh, we need to learn about things like acceptance test-driven development or behavior-driven development or other things to help get shared understanding. So I was
Yeah.
just surprised at how quickly it gets to the heart of the problems.
Yeah, and I'm so glad to hear that because we're hoping people can take these books and be able to do it themselves or
Mhm.
facilitate one or do it within their own team, maybe on a smaller scale to start with. But that's what we're hoping people can look at and say, where are we? Where could we go? Right. And starting with, I still think those top three ones are the most important things, which people don't tend to think of, which is like the feedback loops, the culture, and the learning.
Hmm.
How do
Yeah,
you
the
do that?
learning is a big one, and one of the ones I did because they're like, well, we have learning time and stuff, but it's not focused on testing, and you've got a big
Yeah,
gap in testing knowledge. So those things are really important.
right. The third thing that kind of was a highlight for both of us this year was that so we developed that new course, um,
Hmm.
holistic testing for continuous delivery. And so it's been out there for a little over a year now, just starting, right? So we were able to get some new instructors. And you did a second time teaching it and taught it to a place, didn't you? Like a organization? Did you teach it to an
No, it was a
organization?
public
As a
class. It
public
was a public
class.
class. But
Yeah.
well, one of our instructors, Gaspar Nagy, he did the class in the spring, and
True.
he came back with so much good feedback, and we really were able to tweak the course and make it just even better. And it was a pleasure to teach it because it flowed really smoothly, and people really got into the exercises. And what was exciting for me is that for the people in my public class wanted to become instructors. So I think that
Wow.
makes us make 17 or 18 people who can teach it now. So yeah, I can see that there are more and more teams who are ready to start moving towards continuous delivery, and there are a lot of things to
Hmm.
consider. And so I feel like there's going to be a lot of people could be helped by this course. So it's great to have more people ready to teach it.
Yeah. Like there's still a lot of teams out there that are still basic and can use the first course, but there's a lot of teams that are ready to listen to figure out what's next, right?
Yeah, learn the new terminology. Yeah.
Exactly. Without worrying about all the tools involved. Just
Hmm.
what does this mean from a testing perspective? Yeah.
Great. Yep. Okay.
And then I think the last thing, or was there something else you wanted on that one?
No, no. Just if you want to know more about it, get in touch with us or go look at our
Yeah,
website.
yes, that's true. And then the very last thing we want to chat about is, I think, the conferences that we attended. We attended four of them the same, I think, this year.
Oh yeah, we did.
Agile Testing Days
It's like the
USA,
good old days, Janet. We hadn't done that in a while.
uh, um, Agile on the Beach. We keynoted together. That was kind of special.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd ever get you get up to do another keynote. So it was kind of fun. It had been quite a few years. So that was kind of exciting. And then we did a workshop at Targeting Quality.
Hmm.
So that was kind of fun because it was in Canada, in Ontario. So 4 hour flight for me, even though I'm Canadian, but yeah, you can drive there in less time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. Um, and and then of course, um, Agile Testing Days in Potsdam in November. So tell me a little bit what you kind of got out of the conferences and things.
Well, one of the things that I really liked about this year's conference was they had their conference within a conference. So all of the talks were also live streamed. And then there were a bunch of recorded talks that were available to people with a virtual pass. And so I
Mhm.
tacked a virtual pass onto my ticket. And that way I was able to focus during the conference going to the hands-on workshops because those were not live streamed. Obviously, they're workshops and
Nice.
you're doing things, you're doing exercises and collaborating with people. And it was nice to be able to focus on that. And since then, I've been catching up on the talks.
Uh,
It's like, I didn't even have my post-conference blues because it's like, no, I've still got dozens and dozens of talks I can watch, and they're really inspiring and keeping my energy up.
yeah,
It's really exciting. But of course, it's always great to connect with old friends and meet a lot of new friends, and the social events are always super fun. So
yeah,
always a great experience.
yeah. I had one extra conference this year that I went to this summer, which was Agile Testing Days Open Air.
Oh, right.
And because that was a lot of fun. It was in July and it was kind of on the beach. And I was sad that I did not holding it this year, but that was kind of a fun one. What I did notice about some of I know that there's a lot of talks on AI and
Oh, yeah.
automation and things, but the Agile on the beach one in Cornwall, so that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, I that conference taught me how much I depend on people around me, but also how hard it is if you have mobility issues. Because I
Mm,
had to walk up and down the hill. So thank you for helping me up and down the hill all the time. What that meant is I ended up being in that conference in the team room. It was focusing on teams. And it made me really understand that the pattern that I see on teams is there is no pattern. Kind of what we were talking about a little bit. And it doesn't surprise me, right? There's so many different contexts. Some teams are ready for continuous delivery.
hmm.
Some people are already doing it. Some people are doing AI stuff. Some people haven't even heard of it, right? So many different contexts. And there's some teams that have no testers.
Hmm.
Some of those have programmers who are really getting into it. So that was good to see. But then there's others that are really struggling because they don't have it. And it's kind of sad, right? And then there's teams that programmers throw it over the wall to the testers. So there is no pattern. I just it's kind of everywhere, all over the place. Um, but I do think that there's still the majority of the teams that they still need testers or quality advocates or question askers, whatever you want to call them, and I don't care what you call them. Just to think and help teams build that quality in, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I'm going to end up chat. But just kind of saying that Agile Testing Days Potsdam was my last in-person conference, which makes me kind of sad. It does. But I've had a lot of good ones. And the other thing I saw at all the conferences, and I know you'll agree because we've had this conversation many times, is how many young people, and when I say young, I'm thinking 30, 40 years old, because that's young to me in that age range.
Definitely.
But there's so many that are taking leadership roles. And we're learning from them now. And it makes my heart kind of sing to see that. It's a very positive thing.
It is, and the ones I talk to that are leaders themselves and sharing through speaking and writing and podcasting and things like that. They're people, it's such an honor. They read our books, and that's sort of the foundation of their knowledge, and now they're building on from there, which is our intention. Here are the problems we've had. Here are ways that we and other people have solved them. Great. There's going to be new problems. So now these younger people are free to go and tackle the endless new problems that'll come up, like how are we going to use AI tools or things like that. So yeah, I love seeing that too.
So there's still a lot of things I think we can still offer, given our what do we say, our years of wisdom. Let's call it
exactly. That. We can be wise women.
Oh yes. I'll have to think of something to go. Wise donkeys and dragons.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right. Well, it's been an exciting year, and we're excited about next year too. So Janet might not be at in-person conferences, but you can bet that she's going to be doing lots of new things, and she's always got new ideas. Watch out, people. So thank you. Get in touch with us. You can contact us on social media. You can go to our websites. We have lots of books to dive into in our training courses. So please get in touch with us if you have ideas for topics for our video chat next year, or maybe you'd like to be a guest. We would love to hear from you. So just get in touch and let us know. All right. Well, happy holidays to whatever holidays people celebrate, and all the best wishes for the new year coming up.
And Merry Christmas, or whatever holiday you celebrate, and Happy New Year. We'll see you next year. Bye-bye.